Swift debacle. And let me just say for now, so that people can't just come into this video assuming that I am the biggest Taylor Swift fan. I do enjoy some of her music. I do enjoy certain songs, but I'm not like someone who loves every single song, has been to every concert. I'm basically not a fanatic, you know. But I wanted to talk about this from a eating disorder perspective, okay? Because I know that a lot of individuals that are basically curvier than I am, a lot of women that are basically afraid of this word, okay? And shout out to Paige Christie, because if it wasn't for her video and if it wasn't for her take, I wouldn't be doing this, okay? And I had to set, you know, certain people straight. I had to go on my Twitter and basically post about this because there is a lot of stigma when it comes to eating disorders. And while the majority that do get better, that try to recover, end up losing their lives, while the majority that stays sick and waste money on so much treatment and would prefer to be competitive, that's beside the issue, okay? We're not going to focus on the depths and the ins and outs of treatment, the depths and ins and outs of this illness, okay? I had a 20-year battle. I started at the very young age of 3 years old when it came to this disorder, and it started exacerbating at the age of 5 because of what I went through. And if you are, you know, someone who is new to my channel, I do talk about it in my about section, and feel free to go through if you are able to, if you get triggered easily, or if you are not in the right frame of mind. I don't suggest it, but it is intense, it is a lot, and I do speak about it because there is no harm in trying to help somebody else by telling your story, okay? Now, what I want to focus on is not only the stigma, but the myths and the rhetoric that a lot of these women that are more curvaceous than, you know, those of us that are thin. I want to remind those of you that are watching this, okay? I need to emphasize this. If you are any woman that is curvier, any woman that is considered full-figured, considered plus size, know that you are in the normal range. Those of you that are anywhere between, you know, a large and above. So your shirt size, I'm not going to use numbers just so that I don't trigger people. But anybody that is in a shirt large or above, they're a normal size. Okay, anybody that's a medium, small, extra small, we are, those of us that are in that category, us women are considered not normal, okay? We're considered the basically the rare of women that aren't average, because average women are like sizes large and up, okay? So I want to remind this to any, like, no matter what size you are, no matter what gender you are, no matter what sexuality you prefer, okay? Whatever you identify as, that is the normal. Not skinny, not thin, not emaciated, not on the brink of death, okay? That is not normal. See, what the media loves to do is trick you guys. The media loves to say that it's better, it's normal to be emaciated, it's better to be thin, it's better to have your bones protruding, it's better to have your face look hollow, even though we're not of that age of being that thin. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the older you get, your face either becomes hollow or you sag. So I just find it interesting that the media pushes that, right? So when women, or particularly girls at a certain age, like younger and younger girls, younger and younger women are getting plastic surgery for this reason, because they're being tricked by the media thinking, you're not good enough, so let's change that. Let us change you, right? Now, for someone that has recovered for 14 years, okay, I've never been more ridiculed being thin than I was being big. Because I know that a lot of, curvaceous women want to say, well, you don't know what it's like to be on the other side because you're quote unquote anorexic, right? So you don't know what that's like. I do. Those of us that have had severe eating disorders tend to go on the other side of the weight spectrum. My heaviest weight was 233, okay? That was my heaviest weight, was 233, and I can show you the photo here. And that was in the depths of my eating disorder as well. Because I was at a residential, and they thought that, if I be put on weight gain meds that made me worse mentally, so they did it on purpose, basically, to get the money from me, and then completely destroy and sabotage my healing process. It made it harder for me to get better. It made me want to hurt myself even more and self-destruct even more than I already was, okay? And being on both sides, I got more praise being heavier than I did, well, actually, I should say than I do now being thin. Because a lot of curvaceous women just assume, they just want to judge you, right? Like, I've had a lot of women judge me that are plus size, that are full figured. I've had a lot of women judge me saying, oh, well, you're part of the body positivity movie because you're anorexic and you're basically useless to society. I've heard it all when it comes to women that are full figured, okay? And the animosity that I have gotten, I don't take it personal because I know that that's an insecurity they have. I know that that's a struggle that they have. That's some inner demon that they got going on that I can't fix and I don't have the energy to deal with, okay? That's just me. That's just how I do things. I don't have the energy. I don't have time. I really don't have time to waste. If you have followed me for years, or if you have an understanding of what I'm dealing with, you'll get it. And I think that it's a huge disadvantage to you as a creator, as an influencer, if you are running amok with this to your audience, saying that, oh, well, if you're anorexic, you don't know what it's like. You don't get any ridicule. Are you kidding me? Are you guys actually kidding me? Do you have any idea the comments that I get because I'm thin? And it's not because of my eating disorder. It's because I'm actually dying from the inside out with this 𝖯ЛLi𝗒𝗂𝗋𝗒𝗂 syndrome. Okay? I'm actually dying. So for people to act like you can't have like an illness or like a sickness, or if you do have an eating disorder, it's all about weight and numbers and it's about food. The ignorance, I'm going to need individuals to pull. If you're going to do any type of video on this, and if you're going to run based off of emotions, you might as well call it a sabotage, because those of us that have eating disorders, especially the most severest case, from looking at the studies, from doing all of my research, from helping so many women and young girls with this disorder, whether it was through public speaking, whether it was through my support groups, whether it's mentoring, okay? About, I would say, like throughout the years of helping women specifically with eating disorders, specifically women with trauma and body dysmorphia, I would say about 90% out of the 11 years of women that I've helped and young girls that I've helped, 90% were so severely traumatized that the numbers didn't matter. Hurting themselves mattered more. Self-destruction mattered more. It didn't matter if they lived. Didn't matter how many heart complications they had. Didn't matter if they had an aneurysm, a rupture. It didn't matter if they died in their sleep. They're already severely depressed anyways, so death isn't an issue for those of us with this disorder, okay? It's not an issue. It doesn't, we're not afraid of death, okay? Let's just put it that way. Those of us in the severest cases of an eating disorder, it absolutely does have a grab on you if you let it consume you, yes. If you can't find that inner motivation, that internal drive, that something to keep you alive, something to keep you going, any glimpse of hope, because that is what any type of addiction, any type of basically any type of self-abuse, whether that's drugs, alcohol, eating disorders, gambling, whatever, you name it. The entire purpose of this disease is to grab a hold of you, not let you see hope, not let you see the joy in life. That is the entire purpose of this, okay? That is the entire point, okay? And I think people forget and fail to mention that those of you on the other side would rather just judge it, would rather just, instead of talking to individuals like us, instead of actually sitting down and getting an idea of where we're at, rather just judge us. And remember, those of you that are on the curvaceous side, that's an eating disorder as well. Binge eating disorder is not commonly talked about. It is not commonly known. How do I know about this? Because in my support groups, I welcome any type of eating disorder. So any type, whether it's the rarest form or the most common. The two most common, actually the top three. One is anorexia, 2 is bulimia, 3 is binge eating disorder. That is very common. It's not about numbers. It's not about weight. It's not about, if you are considered an anorectic, you have to be emaciated, right? You have to be under 100 pounds. You have to be basically on the brink of death. That is not true. Because even at my heaviest weight, at 233, I was still in that anorexic mindset. The eating disorder does not go away even though you gain weight. It does not go away. You have to do the emotional, mental, and physical steps to get better and heal. It's a lot on anybody when it comes to this type of disorder. It's intense. It's a lot. You have to unravel a lot of emotions. Any type of rehab, any type of therapy, any type of treatment, it takes a toll on a lot of people. That's why a lot of people relapse. That's why a lot of people just give up hope, because they'd rather be on their security blanket. They'd rather stay sick because it's easier. So I don't blame individuals that just refuse to get better. I just get sick and tired of that rhetoric that you can't get better. That's where I'm coming from. So for a lot of women and young girls that are on the curvier side, that have that insecurity, that struggle with their weight, that struggle with whatever it is in that mindset, okay, whatever it is, everybody has. It doesn't matter where you are on the scale. It doesn't matter where you are in numbers. It doesn't matter where you are from a physical standpoint. Everybody has body image issues. It might not be to the extent of body dysmorphia like myself and a lot of other women, but body image is common even in men. There are even standards in men that a man has to abide by if they're willing to put themselves through that. Same thing with women. A lot of women will put themselves through that if they want to be accepted, if they want to be loved, if they want to be liked, if they want whatever the case may be for their self-esteem, okay? I also want to reiterate that the word fat is not a feeling. That is not a feeling that you can actually address as an emotion, especially when it comes to anybody with an eating disorder. It's not an emotion. It's a physical attribute. It's not even a sensation, because the word fat comes from the excess buildup that is around your organs. So it is actually inside of you. It is not outside. It is actually inside of you. That's what makes the skin plump up. Do you see what I'm saying? So I need individuals who are afraid of this word or are insecure of this word to realize that is actually an internal thing, the word fat. It's just that doctors and medical professionals for years, and still to this day, shame kids and young adults for being a little bit overweight, for having the quote-unquote wrong BMI, right? A lot of doctors still do this. They still ridicule kids. They still... And unfortunately, a lot of kids nowadays will turn to an eating disorder of some type. Maybe not a full-blown diagnosis, but a behavior of an eating disorder. This is dangerous. And having been talking to a lot of... I've been on panels. I've talked with so many professionals as far as like in the medical field. When I would do like seminars, when I would do my speaking, I would actually talk to them individually. Why is this such a phenomenon for you to push the BMI when in fact you are actually killing some of your patients? You are actually pushing your patient to want to self-destruct to the point of death. You will no longer have a patient if you keep doing this. And a lot of mental health professionals agreed with my stance, because while they may not mean to, you don't know how much you're going to trigger somebody until you actually say those words. You need to lose weight. You need to do this. You need to do that. So what is the majority that people go to? They go to an eating disorder route. Why? Because that is the most common way to lose weight. It is actually praised by the curvier side of society. Why do I say this? Because if you guys remember back then, there was the pro-Ana movement. And a lot of these pro-Ana movement websites were run by women that were normal and average sized, trying to teach other women that were of the same vicinity, of the same weight, how to lose, how to be, as basically saying that anorexia and bulimia was a lifestyle, not an illness that you can't come back from. Some people can come back from it. I was one of the lucky ones. I went through it. I endured. I beat it. Okay? So I think people need to remember too that it is also the average women, the average normal weight of women in our society need to take that in as well. Is it an insecurity? Is it a shaming tactic to attack someone like myself or anybody else that's thin? Maybe some women were born like this and have a high metabolism. Maybe they're coming out of an illness. Maybe they're dealing with an illness. Maybe they are dealing with instability in their mental state. You don't really know. And I think that it's really sad that even though we're in 2022, we want to preach about women empowerment. We want to preach about women need to support women. But in reality, we are destroying our own kind. So if the women race gets eliminated, as so many are pushing on the trans community, it'll be because of us, not because of them. Okay? I just really want you guys to think before attacking someone else, because at the end of the day, Taylor Swift is an artist. Some of you might, as some of you don't realize art doesn't have to come in music form. Art doesn't have to come in, there isn't a specific perfect definition of art. It can come in designing, whether it's inside of the house, whether it's outside of the house, whether it's paintings, whether it's drawings, whether it's arts and crafts, whether it's, you know, clothes, makeup, hair. Art comes in so many forms now. It always has been. It's just we have this societal view of what one thing is, right? And creating a music video was Taylor Swift's way to express her inner demon, to fight that, so basically fight the body image, body dysmorphia, the voices in her head telling her, you are not good enough. It's simply all it was. So I hope that you guys take this with a grain of salt. I hope that you guys actually do more research before you come out and say very, very ignorant things, possibly hurtful things to your audience, especially those that have an ED. Maybe those that were affected by someone who had an ED. Okay, I need people to actually be more mindful of what they say and what they're doing, and before they just come out with their word vomit and throw their venom at someone you could potentially be hurting and re-traumatizing, re-triggering, and not even realize it. So again, I want to thank Paige Christie for doing this, and for being open and vocal and not being afraid to take a stance on this and voice her opinion as a curvaceous woman that she is. I don't really care what size you are. I don't really care, you know, what walk of life you have. For me, every woman is beautiful at any size, any way that you want to be, any way you express yourself as well. Because at the end of the day, if today you're sitting here and watching this, being at the weight that you are, that's meant to be.